The world is teeming with bacteria. They have been around for billions of years because they are able to adapt to almost any environment. From deep-sea hydrothermal vents to glaciers and even clouds in the upper atmosphere, bacteria thrive. Recent research has found that atmospheric cloud water contains an active community of microorganisms which have impacts on the climate, ecosystem processes, and human health.
The atmosphere is a very uninviting environment in many ways. Strong UV light, freezing temperatures, and little air or nutrients make it so that nothing else that we know of can survive there. Bacteria are typically found at around 9.5 kilometers, which is the average height of an airplane, but have been found over 40 kilometers as well. To put this into perspective, a skydiver usually jumps from 4.5 kilometers, but the record is 40. This extreme altitude requires a specially designed, fully pressurized astronaut-type suit. Without it, the diver's blood would have boiled within seconds of exposure to the near airless atmospheric conditions at those altitudes. This is where bacteria can survive. In fact, they found that there can be nearly as many different bacteria in parts of the sky as there are in a river on Earth.
Although research is limited, in the past several years, scientists have tested cloud water and found surprising results. Samples revealed an abundance of microbial life, including bacteria, pollen, fungi, and yeast, which have significant implications to understanding weather patterns, especially precipitation. Bacteria colonies have adapted to piggybacking on the hydrological cycle. The colonies that live in terrestrial and aquatic ecosystems are swept up by wind into the atmosphere and catapulted high into the stratosphere by electrical fields during thunderstorms.
It's not entirely understood why some clouds form rain or snow and others don't. Even at minus 40 degrees Celsius, cloud droplets can be entirely liquid if they don't contain any effective ice nucleating particles. However, there are also clouds that will form ice crystals at temperatures as warm as minus 12 degrees Celsius. This is because, as shown, specific particles are required to trigger ice formation. A cubic yard of air contains hundreds of thousands of microscopic specks, but only about 1 in a million possesses the exact molecular geometry that will organize water molecules in the hexagonal pattern that creates an ice crystal. Certain types of bacteria sampled from the sky have been found to be highly effective ice nucleators. In order for a particle to form ice crystals, it needs to have the right three-dimensional hexagonal shape that can orient the hydrogen atoms in H2O so that they form bonds. Once enough water molecules organize into that pattern, an ice crystal grows rapidly. Biological nuclei are effective because they are larger and cause freezing at higher temperatures. While inert particles can only orient a few water molecules at a time, some bacterial proteins can orient many simultaneously, creating precipitation that carries them back to the ground where the cycle continues.
At first, there was confusion about how microbes could survive and stay active in the atmosphere. Recently, a study found that they eat saccharides, which are sugars that are generated by plants and other organisms on the ground. The sugars are swept up by the wind into the atmosphere, providing an energy source for the bacteria, which allows them to metabolize and multiply. They also use them as building blocks to create polysaccharide armor to protect from UV rays and freezing temperatures. Interesting side note, some of the polysaccharide UV protection has reddish coloring, which may help explain the confusing phenomenon of red rain that has occurred primarily in southern India.
The ice nucleating properties of certain particles in bacteria have been used around the world in a process called cloud seeding to create artificial snow or rain. The first cloud seeding, starting in the 1950s, used silver iodide as an ice nucleator to reduce hail damage to crops. Later, it was also used to increase snowfall at ski resorts. More recently, biological cloud seeding is being used instead, which mimics the natural process of ice nucleation with bacteria and other microorganisms that we explained earlier. This is most similar to when there are storms that sweep up lots of bacteria at once and prompt heavy rain or snowfall. Some current uses of cloud seeding are for airports to reduce fog, ski resorts to create more snow, as well as to induce rain in areas experiencing drought. The bioprecipitation cycle has huge implications for climate and weather patterns. Because humans have yet to fully understand the complexity of these cycles, artificially altering weather patterns is, as one scientist put it, at best a band-aid or a tourniquet, at worst it could be a self-inflicted wound.
As we have learned, atmospheric cloud water contains an active microbial community. Ecosystems in the sky likely have a significant influence on tomorrow's weather and next year's harvest. It will be interesting to see what future research reveals. Next time you look up at the beautiful clouds and see their incredible formations, remember that they are full of life.